My name is Gonads. I am your biology teacher. Today we are going to deal about the endocrine system. There are two systems that have a role in coordination control of our body organ. These are the nervous system and the endocrine system. These are the nervous system and the endocrine system. The nervous system have an electrochemical transmission, whereas the endocrine system is hormonal or chemical transmission. Today, we are going to deal about the endocrine system. The endocrine system. There are two glands which have the endocrine gland and the exocrine glands. The endocrine glands are ductless gland, whereas exocrine glands have ducts. The exocrine glands secrete different substances, different things, have different roles. The exocrine glands, for example, salivary gland, mammary gland, sweat gland, tear gland, and intestinal gland and pancreatic gland. It secretes different things that have different functions. Whereas endocrine glands, the endocrine glands secrete hormones. Let us go into deal about endocrine systems. The endocrine glands that have a role in coordination and control of our body organ, it secretes hormones. Hormones are a chemical messenger that control our body organ. Let us go into deal about the very important endocrine glands. Start from our brain. In our brain, there is a pituitary gland. In our brain, there is a pituitary gland. The pituitary gland found in our brain. Pituitary gland, pituitary gland, it's called the master gland. It's called the master gland because it controls the activity of other endocrine glands. It secretes different hormones. Let us see. The endocrine gland, the pituitary gland secrete growth hormone, which have a role in growth, body growth. The low secretion and hypersecretion, hypo and hypersecretion of growth hormone. The hyposecretion of growth hormone results in dwarfism, whereas the hypersecretion of pituitary master gland results in giantism. The other important hormone secreted by a pituitary gland is follicle stimulating hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone, as the name indicates, it stimulates the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine hormone. The other important hormone secreted by a pituitary gland are gonadotrophin hormone. As the name indicates, it works on gonads. There are two important hormones secreted by gonadotrophin hormone. Two important hormones found in gonadotrophin hormone. These are follicle stimulating hormone. It stimulates the follicle to produce egg, whereas the luteinizing hormone, also another hormone secreted by gonadotrophin hormone. The other hormones secreted by pituitary gland are antidiuretic hormone. As the name indicates, antidiuretic hormone have a role in reabsorption of water by kidney tubules. The other hormone secreted by pituitary gland is oxytocin. It initiates the uterus contraction and causes birth at the end of gestation period. These are the most important hormones secreted by pituitary glands. What are the other glands found? The endocrine gland found in the neck region are called thyroid gland. The thyroid gland secretes thyroxine hormone. The thyroid gland secretes a thyroxine hormone. Thyroxine is an iodine-containing hormone which have very important in, one, controls the rate of metabolism. Second, it have a role in oxygen consumption by the body cell. Third, it have control mental development in children. So, if thyroxine has this function, what is the hyposecretion of the effect of hyposecretion of thyroxine and hypersecretion of thyroxine hormone? The low, too much secretion of thyroxine hormone results in increasing the rate of metabolism. So as a result of increasing the rate of metabolism, we have different effects. People with too much thyroxine have high weight, irritable and restless, whereas people with too low hyposecretion of thyroxine, it have another effects. Weight gain is another effect of low level of thyroxine hormone. The other important gland secreted by, the other important endocrine glands are thyroid gland, and there is a pancreas. Pancreas is an exocrine and endocrine glands. Why pancreas is an exocrine and endocrine glands? Because in the pancreas there is an exocrine glands called acinar cells which secrete digestive enzymes. Whereas pancreas is also an endocrine glands. There is a pancreatic isolates which secrete hormones called insulin and glucagon. Insulin and glucagon are the secreted by pancreatic isolates of endocrine glands. Let us going to deal about what is the role of insulin and glucagon, which control blood glucose level. Insulin decrease blood glucose level, whereas glucagon increase blood glucose level. They are antagonistic effect. Insulin decrease blood glucose level. Insulin secretes when blood glucose level rise above the ideal range. So the question is, how insulin decrease blood glucose level? Insulin decrease blood glucose level, one, by conversion of glucose into glycogen. Second, stimulates the cell to use glucose and stimulate the conversion of glucose into fat and amino acid. The other hormones secreted by pancreatic isolates of endocrine gland of pancreas are glucagon, which secretes when blood glucose level lower below the ideal range. It increase blood glucose level. The question is how glucagon increase blood glucose level. Glucagon increase blood glucose level by stimulating the liver cell to convert glycogen into glucose and stimulate the conversion of fat and amino acid into glucose. This is the antagonistic hormone, insulin and glucagon, the role of insulin and glucagon. The other gland is adrenal gland. Adrenal gland. Adrenal gland found in the kidney. Adrenal gland is found in the kidney. Adrenal gland have two parts. adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla secrete adrenaline. Adrenaline is a fight or flight response. Adrenaline secrete during fright, during stress, during emergency situation. Adrenaline secrete to prepare the body for action. You might fight or you might flight. The other part of adrenal gland is adrenal cortex. It secretes a corticoid, different corticoid hormones, and also aldosterone. Aldosterone is very important reabsorption of sodium and chlorine by kidney tubules. The other important gland is gonads. Gonads or sex gland. Gonads or sex glands. These are in male ovary, in male testes, and in female ovary. In male testes is the male sex gland, which secretes a testosterone hormone. Testosterone hormone is very important in controlling male secondary sexual characteristics. What are the male secondary sexual characteristics? Male secondary sexual characteristics: the whole body grows sperm, testes to produce sperm, voice deepen, and others are male secondary sexual characteristics. What about the female sex gland or ovary? Female sex gland or ovary secrete two hormones, progesterone and estrogen. Progesterone and estrogen. These two hormones have a role in different functions. Estrogen have a role in controlling female secondary sexual characteristics. What are female secondary sexual characteristics? Female secondary sexual characteristics are ovary start to produce egg, breast develop, widening of hip, menstruation starts. These are the female secondary sexual characteristics. The other hormone secreted by ovary are progesterone. Progesterone is called a pregnancy hormone because it maintains pregnancy. Progesterone maintain pregnancy. How does progesterone maintain pregnancy? Progesterone is very important in preparing the uterus to receive fertilized egg by thickening, by producing additional blood vessel. So progesterone thickening and increasing the lining of the endometrium wall to receive a fertilized egg. So these are the very important glands: the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, the pancreas, adrenal gland, and gonads are a very important glands. The other gland found in the thyroid gland is a parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland. A parathyroid gland, the thyroid gland is found on the neck region. It looks like this. It looks like this. There is small 4 dots. These are on the thyroid gland. The 4 dots are parathyroid glands. The parathyroid gland secrete a parathormone. What is the role of parathormone? The role of parathormones are and control calcium level in the blood. The question is, how parathyroid hormone controls the calcium level in the blood? One, by stimulating the bone to release calcium, and by absorption of calcium from intestine and reabsorption of calcium from kidney tubules. These are the endocrine glands that have a role in coordination and control of the body organs. Let us sum up. Today we have learned about the pituitary gland, which also called a master gland or an endocrine orchestra, because it controls other endocrine glands. The other, we have learned about thyroid glands. Thyroid gland found in the neck region, which have a role in, which secretes a hormone called thyroxine. It have different functions, such as controlling the rate of metabolism, oxygen consumption by the body cell, and controlling brain development in children. So we have said thyroxine, too much thyroxine, have its own negative impact. And high secretion, too much thyroxine, and low secretion have also a negative impact. Like, if there is thyroxine is an iodine-containing hormone, at the beginning we have said. If it's low iodine in our diet, the thyroid gland enlarges in adult humans. That is called goiter. In human, in child, since thyroxine is very important in brain development in children, low level of thyroxine results in cretinism, mental retardation in children. So iodine is very important in the secretion of thyroxine. The other we have learned is pancreas. Pancreas is different from the other because it is an exocrine and endocrine glands. Why pancreas is an exocrine glands? Because it have a role in, it have an acinar cells, exocrine glands, which have a role in secreting digestive enzymes. Whereas pancreas is also an endocrine gland, have an endocrine glands called pancreatic islets, which have a role in controlling blood glucose level, two hormones, insulin and glucagon. They are antagonistic effect, opposite effect. Insulin decrease blood glucose level. Glucagon increase blood glucose level. So they are antagonistic, opposite effect. The question is, low level of the insulin and glucagon results in diabetes. There are two types of diabetes: type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes are inherited, whereas type 2 diabetes it's occur as a result of person's lifestyle, mainly associated with being obese. The other gland, what we have learned today, is an adrenal gland. Adrenal gland is found on the neck region. We have said it have two parts: adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. The outer part is adrenal cortex, the inner part is adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla secrete an adrenaline hormone. Adrenaline is a fight or flight response. It secretes during emergency situation, during stress, during anxiety, during fright situation. When a person steps on the snake, the hormone secreted is an adrenaline. Prepare the body for action. The other hormone is, the other part of an adrenal gland is an adrenal cortex. An adrenal cortex is outer part of adrenal gland. The outer part of an adrenal gland. It secretes corticoid hormone. Corticoid hormone have different parts, it have different functions. The other is an aldosterone. Aldosterone is very important in reabsorption of sodium and chlorine by the body cell, by kidney tubules. Finally, we have learned about gonad or sex glands. Gonad or sex glands. Gonads or sex gland, their tests for the male and ovary for the female. In the male, test sex gland or test secrete male secondary sexual secrete testosterone. It have a role in controlling male secondary sexual characteristics, whereas the other is female sex gland ovary, which have a role in controlling female secondary sexual characteristics. Progesterone and estrogen secrete a hormone called progesterone and estrogen. Progesterone is very important. It's a pregnancy hormone. It maintains pregnancy. Estrogen, which have control female secondary sexual characteristics. This is what we have learned today. So we have learned endocrine glands. In previous session, we have learned about, in first semester, we have learned about the nerve system. The nerve system have a role in control and coordination of our body organ. Not only the nerve system, the endocrine system also have control and coordination of a body organ. The endocrine system control coordination of our body organ. And this is our today's session. We have learned today about the endocrine glands. So these endocrine glands have secrete hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers which control a long-term effect on the body, like reproduction, like development, like growth, and under the control of hormones or endocrine systems. As we have said, pituitary gland is found on the neck region, thyroid gland found, pituitary gland found in the brain, thyroid gland found in the neck region, and there is thymus gland is found on the heart, and there is in the pancreas, there is adrenal gland found on the kidney, and gonads. Each have their own secrete its own hormones, and the hormone have its own target cell. The question is, how does the hormone in the target cell communicate? Because the target cell have a receptor specific for the hormone. That's the way of communication between the target cell and the hormones. In the next session, we are going to deal about menstrual cycle. Before we are going to deal about menstrual cycle, why we call it pituitary gland is a master gland? Why pituitary gland is a master gland? What is the effect of too much thyroxine and hyposecretion of thyroxine and hypersecretion of thyroxine? Pancreas is an exocrine and endocrine gland. Why pancreas is we call it pancreas is an exocrine and endocrine glands. Pancreas, endocrine gland, called pancreatic isolate, secrete insulin and glucagon. Why we call it insulin and glucagon are antagonistic hormone. And the other, adrenal glands, found on the neck region. Why we call it adrenaline is a fight or flight response. In the gonads, male, testes produce testosterone. What is the role of testosterone? In female ovary, there is progesterone, secrete progesterone and estrogen. What is the role of progesterone and estrogen? We will meet on the next session on menstrual cycle. Goodbye. Have a nice